You might have seen this tag on some 3D animations appearing in your recommended with the S2FM tag in the front. What is it? Why is it there? Why does it replace the usual Source Filmmaker tag seen on most YouTube animations? Well, I don't even know what Source Filmmaker is.
And for the last 7 years, we've been creating movies in a very different way. I'm going to talk to you today about a storytelling tool that we built inside Valve's Source engine. We condensed the entire pipeline of an animation studio down onto a single gaming PC. We're calling it the Source Filmmaker.
Now that you know what Source Filmmaker is and that it abbreviates to SFM, what's with the 2 and S2FM? The 2 refers to the engine that this version of Source Filmmaker runs on, Source 2. Source 2 is an engine evolved from Source that was created for Dota 2 back in 2014. The intent of its creation was to allow for content to be created more efficiently. It was also used in combination with Unity to create Unity Source 2 for the VR Tech demo experiments compiled in the game The Lab. Most recently, the engine has been used to create one of, if not the best, VR games made so far, Half-Life Alyx. Source 2 at this point is just the Source engine with better optimization, better graphics, and more user-friendly UI and development tools. These development tools have been made available since they released for Dota 2. But as you can see from the graphical upgrade that Half-Life Alyx has had compared to other Valve games, Source 2 has certainly evolved since then. And soon after Half-Life Alyx released, the development tools to create it were released as well, giving us the most up-to-date versions of Model Dock, Material Editor, Hammer, Animgraph Editor, Particle Editor, Post-Processing Editor, and most importantly for this video, Half-Life Alyx's version of Source Filmmaker. The advancements of the game's engine has allowed us to make use of high-quality assets and shaders in Source 2 Filmmaker, including but not limited to particles that emit their own light, subsurface scattering, better rendering of most types of materials, a liquid bottle shader, and more lighting choices. If it's that much better, why not call it Source Filmmaker 2 instead? Because Source Filmmaker 2 would suggest that it's Source Filmmaker, but the Filmmaker program itself would be a direct upgrade, whereas the engine it runs on would not change. And if you look at the update history for Source Filmmaker, that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. However, Source 2 Filmmaker is where the program functions relatively the same, just on the new game engine Source 2. Most of the animations you might see using Source 2 Filmmaker are animations of Half-Life Alyx and Dota 2. This is due to the fact that Source 2 Filmmaker does not have its own workshop support. It currently shares the workshop with Half-Life Alyx, and it relies on you to use a third-party program that unpacks the file so that you can place it into a folder where the add-on is usable, instead of the click of a button. Although S2FM has its advantages, it's actually missing a couple features in comparison to its Source counterpart, per-bone scaling, water, and reflections to name a few. This added on to its lackluster workshop support is why you don't see everyone switching over from Source to Source 2 that quickly. Thankfully, Gary Newman has stepped up to make a spiritual successor to Gary's mod called Sandbox, which is built on the Half-Life Alyx full Source 2 toolset that we didn't get from its smaller toolset release in May of 2020. He's been improving what the engine can do while cleaning up Source 2's code and changing which codebases it uses entirely. Many people have been given keys to create their own game modes, shaders, mechanics, and tools to work alongside the development of the base game. And a lot of impressive things have come out of it, like Amber Software porting Team Fortress 2 to Source 2, among other great things. Recently, we've seen the likes of water, real-time reflections, and destruction physics be added to Sandbox, additions that could be seen in the Sandbox version of SFM. And now Gary said that SFM was not a priority right now, but that doesn't mean it won't be supported in the future. Something like SFM being supported even remotely to this degree is actually exciting because Valve isn't supporting it at all. The only reason why I haven't switched already, despite having a key, is that Sandbox's frequent updates causes unexpected bugs when using the developer toolset that the community has. So, with Sandbox's developers and the welcoming and totally not gatekeeping community, Source Filmmaker as a whole has a bright future. $60 for this animation program. Ew. Oh. Oh. I think we've been spoiled with Source Filmmaker and Blender being free. If you really give a good look at most animation programs, we're practically getting paid to use them instead of the other way around. Plus, Half-Life Alyx goes 50% off from time to time, so it's more than a good deal, especially if you do have a VR headset to play the game itself.